Welcome back, everyone. So, we were discussing the bureaucracy. We saw what civil services are, and what are the features of civil services. Then we also saw um, the All India services, central services, and state services. So, I had promised that in the next video we would be doing the Union Public Service Commission, the State Public Service Commission, and the Joint Public Service Commission. So, let's begin with the Union Public Service Commission. As you know, UPSC is a very familiar name these days, because you see a lot of people giving UPSC exams, preparing for UPSC exams. So it's a very common term these days. Now, the Union Public Service Commission, which you call the UPSC, it was there even before independence. So the very first time we had a public service commission in India was when the Government of India Act of 1919 was given effect. So that was the first time in India that we had a public service commission. So that was a very small body of just 5 people. But then later on, to the Government of India Act of 1935, which you know was a result of the Simon Commission report. So the 1935 Government of India Act established a Federal Public Service Commission. So you have a more effective body coming into force in 1935. So the first time the Federal Commission was the Federal Public Service Commission was established through the 1935 Act, which came into force in 1937. So the Act also provided that each province would have a provincial public service commission, just like we have state public service commission for each states. In 1935 Act, it was said there would be a provincial public service commission, and sometimes one or two provinces may jointly have a public service commission. That was also the provision. And now, with independence, when we adopted the new constitution, we decided to stick on to this provision of Union Public Service Commission. So we did not alter the provision for Public Service Commission. We continued it in the present constitution also. So part 14 of today's constitution deals with Public Service Commission, both state, or the union, or sometimes the joint public service commissions also. So in part 14, Article 315 deals with the establishment of Public Service Commission for the union and the states, and sometimes jointly for one or two states together. This Article 315 also says that a person of All India Service or Central Service holds office of commissions during the pleasure of the President, and in case of state, during the pleasure of the Governor. So the corresponding authority to President in center is the Governor in states. So people of All India Service or Central Service or State Service, they hold office during the pleasure of the President in the case of Union and the Governor in the case of states. Now let's take up the composition, tenure, functions, etc. of these public service commissions one by one. To begin with, the Union Public Service Commission, as you know, the article is 315. So according to Article 315, Union Public Service Commission will be established, and it will be the chairman and members are appointed by the President. So President is the appointing authority, and hence when they resign, they address their resignation to the President. Now, Constitution does not specify an exact strength of the commission. That varies. But one thing that it specifies is, whatever the number be, half the number of members of the commission should have at least 10 years of experience in government services. That's the only condition that it lays down. Now, the tenure of the chairman and members, it's 6 years or up to 65 years. Whichever is attained earlier will be the tenure. And in the case of state commission, it's different. So what we do right now is only the Union Public Service Commission. So tenure is 6 years and 65 years, whichever comes early. Now President since he is the appointing authority, he is also the removing authority. He has the power to remove the members or chairman, because the Article 315 clearly says that they will be, they will hold the office till the pleasure of the president. Now, any misbehavior, unsound mind, or insolvency, bankruptcy. So these are the grounds on which you may remove the chairman or members. But that's definitely after an inquiry is conducted by the Supreme Court. So once the inquiry is completed by the Supreme Court, and if it finds that there are solid grounds for the removal of the chairman or the members of the Union Public Service Commission, then the president may remove them. Now, coming to the functions, as you know, the first and foremost function is to conduct examinations for appointment to All India services, central services, and other public services of the centrally administered territories. You know, there are centrally administered territories like your union territories. So the UPSC will be conducting exams for recruitment to all these services. Now, it shall be the duty of UPSC to assist the states in framing and operating schemes for joint recruitment. And this is done on request from 2 or more states. If 2 or more states jointly request the UPSC to help them in framing and operating schemes for joint recruitment, then the UPSC may do so. Then they also have certain consultative or advisory functions. So basically they are consulted on matters of appointment, methods of recruitment, on matters related to disciplinary actions, etc. So they tender advices. Now, sometimes the parliament can give them extra functions. So in that case, they may perform that also. And then again, the UPSC has to submit an annual report to the president on what have they done, what have they recommended, and all very detailed report the UPSC submits to the president. Now the president will lay this report before the parliament, before both the houses of the parliament, and along with the report, the government will have to submit a memorandum as to what were the recommendations made by UPSC, and have they given force to these, have they implemented these recommendations, and if not, why. So those things have to be explained, and the report will be submitted in both the houses. Now, so this is all about the functions of the UPSC. Okay, other than the given matters, the president may refer any matter to the UPSC for advice. Now, coming to the independence of the Union Public Service Commission, see, we have ensured that the UPSC remains an impartial body, kind of autonomous body, impartial and independent in its own way. So we have a few provisions that ensures this independence of the UPSC. Number one, as you know, the members and chairman, they have been given a fixed tenure, which you know is 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. So they have been assured a fixed tenure. So that is kind of a guarantee to these members and chairmen that you will not be removed as and when the government feels. You have a fixed tenure, so you now can act impartial and independent because you have a fixed tenure. Second, conditions of service of the members and chairmen, they're all fixed. It cannot be varied whenever the government pleases. Now, number 3, the constitution lays down solid procedures for the removal of the chairman or members. So they cannot be removed whenever the government wants, or whenever the government feels they have to be removed. But rather, as I just told, the Supreme Court has to conduct an inquiry and then submit it to the president. So it's not a very easy process of removal, though simpler than the impeachment process for what we had in the case of president, etc. And next thing that we have done to ensure the independence is that all the expenses, including their salaries and other allowances of the members and chairmen of the UPSC, they're charged on the They charge from the Consolidated Fund of India. And finally, uh, the chairman and members, they are debarred from further employment under the union or the states. So once you are part of the UPSC, be a member or a chairman, you cannot undertake employment under the center or the state government. So these are the various measures we have included to ensure that the UPSC functions as an impartial body. Impartial constitutional body. Constitutional because Union Public Service Commission is a constitutional body. Towards the end of our discussion this semester, we will see what is the difference between constitutional bodies and non-constitutional bodies. Constitutional bodies are basically those bodies which have been created through a provision in the constitution, through a particular article in the constitution. Now coming to the State Public Service Commission, the provisions are more or less similar for both the state and the center, state and the Union Public Service Commissions, and even for the Joint Public Service Commission. Article 315, again part 14, deals with the State Public Service Commission. Now the composition, just like the previous one, chairman and members we have. The numbers have not been specified because it varies from state to state. And in the UPSC, we saw that the president was the appointing authority, whereas in the case of states, the governor is the appointing authority. Now, again here also we have the provision that whatever be the membership, the total membership, half the members should have at least 10 years of experience in government service. Now coming to the tenure, in the case of UPSC, we saw it is 6 years or 65 years. And in the case of State Public Service Commission, it is 6 years or 62 years, whichever is earlier. So they may resign by addressing their resignation to the governor. Now coming to the functions, as you can expect, they are constitutionally responsible to conduct exams, to recruit people to various state services. Second, they are consulted on matters like methods of recruitment, appointment of civil servants, make the disciplinary matters, and they are even consulted on matters of temporary appointment for a period more than 1 year, but still a temporary appointment. So can such appointments be later on regularized? On such matters, the State's Public Service Commission is consulted, and any other matter of administration they may be consulted on. So the functions are more or less the same as that of the UPSC. Then coming to the independence of the State Public Service Commission, how do we safeguard their independence? Number one, almost like what we saw in the case of UPSC, they have a fixed tenure, 6 years or 62 years. Then again, their conditions of service cannot be varied to their disadvantage after their appointment, or during their tenure. Their service conditions cannot be altered in such a way that it affects them or it makes them disadvantageous. So you may always give a favorable service conditions, but you cannot alter it to their disadvantage. Now, the expenses, their salaries and other allowances, they are met from the state consolidated fund. Just like the Consolidated Fund of India, we also have a consolidated fund for each state. So their expenses, the salaries and things are met out of that fund. So the chairman and commission, the chairman of the commission shall be ineligible only for appointment as the chairman or member of the UPSC, or chairman of any other state PSC or joint PSC. Sorry, it's not ineligible. Your book here, the book of which I share a scanned copy, the book says they shall be ineligible, but it's not ineligible, it's rather eligible, which means chairman of a state PSC can be or he is eligible to become a chairman of the or chairman or even member of the UPSC or joint PSC. So that's a higher body. So state bodies, state body chairman, state UPSC chairman, he can always become the chairman or member of the UPSC or joint PSC. But he is debarred from employment, any other employment under the state or union government, except becoming a member or chairman of the UPSC or joint PSC. Similarly, a member of state PSC is eligible for appointment as a chairman or member of UPSC. So, be it a chairman or member, they can always become part of the body at the next level, but not any other employment. Here also there needs to be a correction in your textbook. Okay, so these are some of the provisions, and again they are not eligible for a second term. So to the same office they are not eligible for the second term. Now to conclude, we will see the Joint Public Service Commission. So the Government of India Act of 1935, which we saw was based on the recommendation of the Simon Commission, and which provided for the federal or provincial public service commissions. They also provided for the establishment of a joint public service commission. So jointly for one or two states, they may have a public service commission. So again, this is also a constitutional body, but this is created on the request of the concerned state legislatures. So the chairman and members of Joint Public Service Commission would be appointed by the President of India, and their tenure would be just the same as that of the state PSC, which is 6 years or 62 years. Now the President can determine the conditions or of membership, and then their service conditions basically, and the President can determine the strength of the commission. Here the governor do not have much of a role because in appointment and matters like that, because it's a joint public service commission, so it naturally falls under the authority of the President. But again, just like the UPSC submits its report to the President, who in turn lays it before the Parliament, the joint PSC also submits a report to the governor of the respective states, and these reports are then later laid down in the house of the respective state legislatures. So this is all regarding the UPSC, the state PSC and joint PSC. So we will be moving on to the union legislature in the next class. So see you all in the next session. Till then, bye.